Okay. Welcome back to a free anime review, episode number 18. Yep, 18. Now you might be curious though, is there going to be like another anime review coming soon? No immediate plans for it per se. Now, my final thoughts of the season is that overall the season was really good. I'd say the pacing was definitely better. The music basically was a lot better than last season. I haven't heard any major complaints about it. No, not necessarily. I think Daylight, the opening song, was beautiful. I loved it. The ending credits are actually pretty good too. I do like seeing like pretty much like various stuff that's happened. I do enjoy that. If you're only if you only anime only people who only just watch the anime, don't read the light novels, you're probably wondering like, why did they drop Mew? Is she gonna come back? Oh, don't worry, she does. The plan is basically to go back with her. Now, the stuff they cut out here from the actual book itself, the big chunk they cut out, is basically Day of the Adventure Guild. And of course, they mentioned like there's a lot of stuff brought up here, like. In the book, they brought up the fact that Anko and Hajime kissed. And by the way, Tio and Shia have not kissed Hajime yet. Yui was the first one to kiss him. And then Anko got a kiss. Of course, Hajime got embarrassed by that. Corey got a chance to kiss him, like, in this season. So he's been kissed by 3 different women, per se. Yeah. It's interesting that they cut this out, though. Like, that whole section could make an easily full episode. Yes, it definitely could. I could see this potentially make the opening episode of Season 3, if they ever do one. You might ask, is there enough story material for Season 3? Yes, definitely plenty. Now, this season started quite interestingly by kind of start adapting these 2 books. Mostly in the case of this book here, they were adapting the epilogue piece by piece over the course of 4 of the first 5 episodes. That's mostly what they did with this book here, because they kind of already adapted this book already with the previous season of the show. But this particular book right here, book 5, this is where a good chunk of the first half of the season came from. And I gotta say, when they adapted this book, they did a really good job with this one, giving it plenty of breathing room, about 7 episodes. Though they did kind of end it, there was actually a small section they cut out here. Now, based on the material that they cut out here for the last little bit of the book, the epilogue, that can make a good, like, short per se. Now, here's a little fun fact for you about book 5. Now, aside from the main book itself, before this season aired, they actually did adapt one of the bonus stories. Yes, you're probably thinking, which one they adapt per se? Like, they did that one of the stories here. You might ask, which one did they adapt, per se? There was one about Hot Spring one. They actually adapt that. Mm-hmm. No, it's not this one. Because remember there was a story here they adapted from... yeah, I don't know which story it was, but they did have one of the stories from this very book for an OVA from the previous season of the show. Now, the little, like, the story they had here that was cut from the episodes of the epilogue, that could make a good, like, standalone OVA if they wanted to. In the case of this book here, like, they did a pretty good job adapting this book too. Like in the case of book 5, it's mostly, how should I put this? The final chapter. The first, let's say, I think it was the first, like, first few chapters were adapted really well. The prelude, for some reason, was skipped. I do not know why. It's just that apparently, I'm not sure if he really was. I didn't notice it at all while watching the episodes themselves. but they did a really good job adapting this book per se. It's just that final chapter. Though the one thing they did not adapt for this book is the epilogue. They did not adapt the epilogue at all. That might be adapted for a future season. Let me take a look here. I don't think anything from the epilogue was adapted. I'm not really sure because yeah, I don't think anything was adapted from the epilogue itself. Now, in the case of stuff they cut from the actual book itself, the stuff with Lily's brother and they at the guild, like the stuff they cut out here, that can make a good full episode. Oh yes, definitely. I could definitely see an additional bonus episode, like a full-blown episode of the series adapting this stuff. I could definitely see that. As for why they skipped it, I don't know. It's kind of weird. You might think, oh, they adapted 3 books for this season. No, they didn't. They adapted the epilogue book for... The only episode they skipped over, book 4's epilogue, I believe it was episode 4 they skipped over that one. They finished up with episode 5, and then pretty much for episode 6, it was all book 5 because they adapted that one slowly throughout the season. And this one by far took up the most episodes. Out of all the books adapted for the series, book 5 took up more than book 1. Book 1 was 5 episodes covering that one book. This book took up 7 episodes. 7. Though you could say book 4 was adapted for at least for almost just as much, given the fact it took up 3 episodes of the previous season, and this season took up like 4. So basically it took about the same episodes. So it was mostly like one epilogue adapted for 4 episodes, this piece of it. But 6 they did a pretty good job too. Now, if they were to do a Cur 2 of this thing, I personally would like it. But the first thing you should do, if they do Cur 2, have the first episode adapt stuff they skip over from the previous 2 books. Like, adapt that town they went to prior to go to the kingdom, adapt that first, and then adapt that whole section they skipped over from the final chapter of book 6. That's one thing I personally would love to see for the book. But it all depends. Yes, it all depends upon the studio who makes it. It's up to them, per se. Yep. Now, I have not heard reports about Season 3. I personally love the Season 3. I think the season did good. Now, the season is being dubbed. Do I think it is? Yes, it is. And you might be asking, okay, how far have they adapted for this particular season? Well, I think it was like 7 episodes, I think it was. Yeah, in the case of this, of course, was season 2, by the way. They pretty much have adapted up until episode 7. That's as far as they got with it. Yes. One thing I thought was kind of weird about this season is that, well, it's 1 episode shorter than the last season. I was kind of hoping for 13 episodes, but I guess no. I guess not for some reason. As for why in the world that they would basically have just 12 episodes instead of 13 like the last season, I don't know. It's kind of strange per se. Ooh, this is interesting though. Apparently, according to apparently it was released just yesterday. Yeah, apparently there's going to be an OVA coming out soon. This year. Yeah. Yeah. This is interesting, the fact that we're going to get an OVA this year. When? Don't know. Yes. But it's going to depend upon basically when it's released. Am I going to review when it comes out? Yes. Yes, I am. Whenever it does, of course. I have to take a look and see about this. Because I think I may have saved it for upcoming here. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Second season special. As far... Oh, okay. So... It may have been released. I'm not sure. It says the release date according to Miami List. It was released apparently on March 23rd. Like, apparently a week before the anime ended. Possibly, yes. But we might find out soon of exactly, like... Yeah, of exactly soon when in the world we're going to see this will be released. I'm going to review it? Yes. Yes, I will. Okay, so that's a particular review. I thought I'd have time to do a couple comment corners, but it's almost 11:30, so I'm going to save those for tomorrow, along with my reviews for the final, from what I can tell, the final episode of How Realistic Over the Kingdom season, the second half, the Curve 2, the final episode of, for now, of Case of Vanitos, and that's probably going to be it. The only other else I might do, well, a couple comment corners, obviously, and some Doctor Who, okay? Next video. Bye.